We're joined now at the library desk by Callie Crossley. She's the host of Under the Radar with Callie Crossley. You can catch that Sunday nights right here on 89.7 at 6 o'clock. You can also hear Callie commentaries on Mondays for GBH's Morning Edition. And she's co-host for the Culture Show's Week in Review, which starts right after us live here at the library at 2 o'clock. Hello, Callie Crossley.
Hello.
Hello. Mic on, please.
So,
Thank
Callie
you.
Crossley, let's start with the something local. Michelle Wu came out 49 points ahead of Josh Kraft. Josh Kraft has since dropped out of the mayoral race. What do you think?
I couldn't figure out why he ran in the first place. I'm not being disrespectful at all. When he first announced, I actually had no idea who he was. I was at my book club, a lot of intelligent women, and I said, who is the guy and what's he been doing? Because you figure that's somebody who would have been working in some aspect of government, I might not know where, but would have something foundational on which he would then want to run for mayor of the city. And so some of them did know and knew who he was and explained, oh, he's a good guy, you know, boys and girls,
yep.
and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, is that mayoral, material?
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. And then as I learned a little bit more, it seemed to me that, and I said this out loud to people, I don't think he wants to run. It felt to me like the business community wanted him to run.
Yes.
But he didn't really want to run, but he was like, okay, well, I'm game, I'll get out there. And then I have to say that those commercials, the ad just turned me off.
Me too, by the way. I don't like him in any campaign, by the way. It's not just just that black and white of Michelle Wu, like she's some evil doer. I'm
and
with
they
you.
even turned to people who had nice things to say about him. So at the end of them, they're saying he's so great, he's so wonderful. That's the kind of mayor I want. And I'm screaming at the TV. Okay, but what did he do that would lead him? There was a kind of typical commercial for some women who first started running for campaign, when they would say, the argument against women in office is that, we're at home, we take care of the home front. And those women would turn those skill sets that they had to manage the households and connect that to leadership qualities and how they would then use that if they were elected. Okay, so people like him, he's nice. Or tell me how that's translating into, anyway. I guess I was surprised that he dropped out since he hung in for so long. But I just, as I said at the beginning of this, I never understood why he ran in the first place.
Two observations. One, I think you had the same experience, and you may have too. Every single person I know who knows Josh well from his work or personally, and there are a lot of people I respect who think he did a brilliant job at the Boys and Girls Club. Every single one of them, and I know you did it too, I said, why is he running? Some of them were supporting him. The majority, even of people who knew him, this is unscientific or not, were supporting Wu. Not one could answer the question. Not one. That's the first thing. Secondly, I want to compliment, I know this is unkind, I want to compliment Adrian Walker for an incredible column.
Yes.
He talks about, Adrian writes right before the vote, he says, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me. So his closing endorsements are former Senator Diane Wilkerson and Anissa Sabi George, and he's unkind to both of them. And he said, this is the best line. He said they both would have supported a Brillo pad if it was running against
Mayor Wu.
Running against Mayor Wu.
Yeah.
And it was really. And I think, by the way, he mentions in his Instagram thing, which I read this morning, and I think in his interview with Maria Stefanos, where he announced that he was not running, he's given $3 million to really important organizations that are dealing with things he cares about, reentry, mascots, etc. I think the most important thing for him to do to salvage his reputation, because it's clearly been damaged, is really dig into this work and do it in a serious way. He said he's given $3 million, show you really care about Boston. He did just move here, as Wu made the point repeatedly. But I think it's important he shows that what he was before in the private sector is what he's going to be again post this unsuccessful run.
Well, yeah. There's lots of work for folks to do if they're interested in community service, and he says he is, so
he got a lot of money to support it, too, and
exactly.
You should use it, and he is.
Yes.
So, Callie, really upsetting story reported by WCVB about a mother apprehended by ICE as she dropped her kid off at the high school, and there was an elementary school child the mother's child in the car?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've heard versions of this around the country, but of course, this is in our area, and we know there's been kind of a surge intensity around what ICE is doing. We still don't understand, from ICE. We keep asking as journalists, I mean, what are the charges? Why these people? And so far, I don't know anybody who's gotten any answers. So that's scary in and of itself. And this is exactly the kind of fear that is traversing through all kinds of communities, but particularly those that are feeling especially vulnerable. Now, add that to the Supreme Court saying, you can go wherever you go,
Racial profile
where
away.
you think somebody might be, and here we are. So if you have a number of students in this school who are Latinx, Latino, and given the Supreme Court ruling, I guess ICE says, well, this is what we do. And let's not forget that they changed the rule. There was a rule that you would not go on school property.
Sensitive locations,
Right.
they used to be called.
And that got changed. So all of a piece is scary, more scary than and horrible.
Yeah.
By the way, at the same time, and there are many examples, Everett has had this Fiesta del Rio Hispanic celebration thing. I think it would have been the 4th year. They canceled that because so many Latinos were nervous about going to this thing to begin with. I want to get back to the snatching of this parent, though, with an elementary kid in the car. We've said about 1,000 times since Trump was reelected, cruelty is the point. I have no idea what this person did. My guess is, like the vast majority of people they snatch, it's a civil violation crossing the border. Maybe they did something horrible. If they did something horrible and they deserve to be snatched, why do you have to do it with the kid in the car? I mean, this kid who is not responsible for whatever the parent did, that is going to be with that kid that moment for the rest of their damn life. And don't tell me, if you're a law enforcement person with skills, like I assume some of these people are, that you couldn't figure another setting to go grab the parent if you have to do it, and not do it in a way that damages not just that person's life, but the innocent
Well, let's
child.
follow their own scenario. Wait till the mother drop the kid off.
That's another fabulous,
I'm just
more
saying,
obvious point
you're
than
already
mine.
there.
You're totally right.
You know what I want
totally
to know? Two quick things. First of all, I was reading yesterday where many times these kids didn't even know their parents had crossed, because
right.
until now they didn't think that was going to be the thing that's going to send them to South Sudan or some horrible place like that, which the Supreme Court also thinks is okay, apparently. But it's not clear to me what happens. Is there somebody there? Is ICE going to make sure that this child, if it's a young child, like a 10-year-old child, is not left alone on the street? Are they going to leave the kid to his or her own devices? I don't know if they have a policy to make sure these children that are suddenly watching their mother get taken are put in someone else's care. I don't know. I don't think we've been able to find that out.
So I don't think there is a plan. Here's what I do know. That a lot of parents, and these are parents who are here legally, by the way, so I assume this is also happening among those who are undocumented, have made arrangements.
Yeah.
If I don't show up, please go get my child.
Yeah.
I mean, which is just, makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck, because that is what's happening. I mean, that's real. That's happening everywhere. So the only plan I know about is from the parents. Initiation, not from.
Well, with one exception, we actually asked. We don't know if we asked. We discussed this with Paul Revel yesterday about these sensitive locations that are no longer sensitive, and he said some school district superintendents are assuring parents, which I guess is better than nothing, that if you are grabbed, we do have accommodations to make sure that your child maybe is not mentally safe, but is physically safe and taken care of. So I think it's an ad hoc kind of thing. I don't think it's an across-the-board rule. There should be.
Right. Well, if they grab in the school or right in the schoolyard, that's one thing. If they grabbed half a block down the street, that's what I guess
I don't understand.
That's
either.
what I'm concerned about. I don't know.
And how would we know? And how would anybody know? I mean, because the person that would know is the one that just got snatched.
Exactly.
So I'm unclear about this.
Exactly.
This is the thing. By the way, I don't have a solution for this. We asked Mayor Wu this the other day, and we talked to our listeners about this. The notion, I know this is going to sound really childish on my part, the notion this is happening in our midst and we can't do a damn thing about it is as upsetting as almost anything huge that I can think about. A mother, is it a mother or a parent? I don't know if it's a
Yeah,
mother.
I thought it was mother,
is
yeah.
driving her elementary school kid to school, and she's snatched in our midst. It apparently is legal. I don't know. And there's not a damn thing our government or we as neighbors can do. Is just really.
And you can't be certain that, those people with masks on, they're not identified. You don't know what's going on. Let's just keep coming back to that, because I worry about copycatting.
I'm with you too.
Yeah, and I'm
totally with
also
you.
worried about the elections, which are more than a year away now. But I'm worried that all these National Guard people are going to scare people who are entitled to vote, who are
Right.
citizens, from coming to vote unless they do the mail-in ballots, because I would be afraid.
Which some people are in the middle of trying to get rid of.
Exactly,
So-
exactly. So it's like a double whammy.
Right.
Make it harder to do the mail-in ballots, making it harder to come vote, have the National Guard there with their weapons.
Not that mail-in by ballot necessarily helps you, because now they have access to all of your information. Thank you, Doge.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Roland Martin, a long-time great journalist. I think weren't we next to him at one of the conventions? He
We
was
were.
over at the.
We actually were.
I thought so. He was at you were at NECN then, and I was.
The Herald.
I was at the Herald. I snuck over into the booth there, and he was next to New York One, I think, was the station.
We
he
were
was at for a
sharing
long
New York
time.
One and NCN.
Yeah,
That's right.
he wrote. He didn't write. He was interviewed, and talked about the attacks now on black-owned media. What was he talking about?
Well, he's long been concerned. First of all, we should say that after he was a commentator on CNN for some time, so people may remember him from there. And then he was on TV One with his own show. So that's where I think most people might know him from. And then he left both of those institutions. I think he was exited from CNN, and he started his own thing. So he owns his own company, which is really quite successful, his own satellite channel. So he actually broadcasts himself, if you will, on streaming channels. By membership, it's done quite well. So putting that aside, he's concerned that black-owned media such as his, because unlike him, he owns all of everything, every part of it, other people do not, is being erased as much as some of the other materials that we talk about, the books, the films, everything, is being erased under the guise of its DEI. And that is concerning about, once again, getting the full information about what's happening in these communities. I can remember growing up that we had, first of all, 2 newspapers, which was, the 2 big newspapers. We always got the black newspaper. And my mother, because of who she was, always entertained conversation with the guy who brought Muhammad, who was then named Muhammad Speaks, the black Islamic newspaper. And she would have big arguments with him. He'd wait till the end of his shift so he could have
That's great.
long conversation with her.
Last stop.
And yes,
That's
they would
great.
go on forever until my father would get irritated and say, please, come back from the door. But anyway, the point was that she felt like you needed to have, and she was not a journalist, let me point out, she was an educator, all accesses of information. You needed to have broad, expansive, ports of entry into information. And so when you shut off those kinds of opportunities, then you get less information, and clearly you're not getting truth. So that's a big concern.
Well, also the other point he makes about the anti-DEI inspired Trump stuff is, and I don't think we often spend enough time thinking about the trickle-down impact of almost everything that is done, is advertisers that were very happy to support what he and other people were doing are less happy to do it because they're worried, yet again, of upsetting the big guy, President of the United States, if they invest in things that he doesn't believe in, like black media, for example. So that's that. So Callie Crossley, Janelle Nanos wrote a piece that I was waiting for, and I'm glad she did. By the way, Janelle Nanos is a reporter at the Globe, and I would urge you to read a wonderful piece she did about a week ago called Inside the Reckoning at Commonwealth Kitchen. It is a really, really important story.
Wow.
You should read it. However, the thing we're talking about today, this is the headline. This time around, market basket fight has been a lot more muted. Everybody knows that RDT was fired by the board, and the board has controlled 60% of the shares by his 3 sisters. And she's writing about the fact no demonstrations, no called for boycott, not even a lot of the same level of customer upset that there was in 2014. What does she have to say, and do you agree with it?
Well, she's saying these are different times, and that, so first of all, it appears that some people were shocked that he had been dismissed, so they're not even aware of all of the details of it. But that people, because of the time it was in 2014 where people were feeling optimistic, feeling like the economy was good, and here we are, commanders of our own fate. And it felt just so wrong at the time that Arthur would be attacked in this way when he was the very embodiment of what we thought good employers were. Support the employees, stand up for good prices for folks, all of that stuff. And now here we are at a space, according to her, where everything is crazily almost out of bounds in terms of price, and people are, fearful of so much else going on in their lives that it just doesn't seem to resonate in the same way. It was very thoughtful, because said to myself, now what is there? Why is there a difference? I mean, I am aware of it. I haven't been doing anything at Market Basket because it annoyed me, but then I thought, well, one of the big issues, of course, the last time around was that the middle managers stirred much of the interest from consumers. And that didn't happen this go around.
Well, two of them were here about a month
correct.
ago, but they were outliers.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So, she's right about that. And beyond that, I don't know. I had suggested in the newsroom the other day that we go back and talk to the people that made a case study out of the original protest.
Tom Kochen from MIT, yeah.
Yes, to find out.
He's
I'd
great.
love to know, what his assessment would be in light of that.
By the way, Jamie just reminded me, the two guys, it was not just because of what they said on a show, but what they said on a show elsewhere. The two guys were both fired,
They were
or
both-
one was fired?
yeah.
One of the two was fired immediately after the show. And the other piece that we don't have time for today, which I think
Yes.
there's speculation that Three Sisters is going to sell the company.
Yes.
And let's see how we feel about the former Market Basket as part of another
I think
chain.
that's going to be.
I hope not. What are you doing this Sunday, Callie Crossley?
We have just put together our first Massachusetts News Roundtable so that we can reach across the state. So we're talking to one of our colleagues from the Berkshire Eagle. We're talking to one of our colleagues from New England Public Media and Commonwealth Beacon to look at these issues that go across the state, and that some are very much a part of the location of our colleagues' work. And it's just fascinating. One of the things that just really captured me is up in the Berkshires, because of the demographic shift of fewer kids for college. We know that. That's happening in high school. They're now having put together the sports teams because there's not enough people.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that amazing?
Why are there so few kids in the
'Cause
Berkshires?
Same thing across the country. This is just a
Just
little
fewer people
microcosm
having
of-
children.
Yeah.
Huh.
So,
Wow.
So that's going to be, and so it's enough so that now the schools are thinking about doing it. Anyway, that's one of the things. Also, I went up to Maine to look at an exhibit by David Driscoll, African-American artist of some note. He really is a scholar about 19th and 20th century African-American artists. He put them on the map, the ones that you know of. He put them on the map with his scholarship. And he himself was an artist, and he has a collection at the Portland Museum of Art of his work and also others that he collected.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Good to see you. By the way, just an update while we're talking of can there be unity, Donald Trump is saying left-wing radicals, quote, are the problem. So much for bringing people together.